All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the interview of Officer Lynch, and he has indicated that he doesn't want representation. That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay. First of all, do you know why you're here?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay, well, tell me about...
Well, you can start from the top, from the very beginning.
Yeah, you start from the top.
Okay. All right. I was during my field training stage.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't on duty at the time. It was around, I believe it was a Saturday. I forget the date. It was in the month of August.
Okay.
I was inside Lenox Mall, and I was coming up the escalators. And as I was coming up the escalators, I seen this young lady approaching me. You know, she was very beautiful. And when she passed me, I turned around, and I wanted to go talk to her, but I didn't. I didn't approach her right as soon as I seen her. I wanted to wait till, a more appropriate time. So as she was walking outside of the mall, approaching her car, I walked up behind her and I scared her. And I told her I was sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, I didn't mean to startle you. And she was polite, I spoke and I told her my name. And I was basically trying to, get to know her a little bit. I found her attractive. And I started talking to her, and in so many words, she told me she was taken. And in the conversation, it came about. I told her that I worked for the city of Atlanta. I gave her the information on myself, and she told me that her significant other is also a police officer. So I was like, okay, and instead of me ending the conversation there, I tried to prolong it, but I can see she clearly wasn't interested because she was already involved with somebody else. So when she left, I looked back and I was like, man, I wish I can see this girl again. That's all I want to do. I just want to see her again. I mean, she's nice looking. So I looked back and I recorded her tag number. And once I got her tag number, I debated on for a few days. I was like, man, I don't know if I should be doing this because I know it's wrong, but so I waited and waited. I believe it was the month of October, I believe. I checked the tag, and it came back to a Collier address in Zone 1. And once I got the address, I still debated. Should I know it's wrong to show up to somebody's house when you're not on the case number, or you don't have no business being there. So, like I said, I finally talked myself into it. So I worked an extra job down there at the Georgia Dome on that particular date. It was in October. I forgot what day it was. And when I got done working that extra job, I was in full uniform, and I was like, I'll drop by that address, see if she remembers me. So after I left the Georgia Dome, I wrote to Zone 1. I went to that address, and I knocked on the door, and her mother came to the door. When her mother came to the door, I made up a reason to be there. I was expecting Miss, I don't know her name. I forgot her name. I was expecting her to come to the door, but her mother came to the door. And her mother told me she wasn't there. She don't live there. But that car that the tag belonged to is her car. It was her mother's car. So her mother called the victim. I think her name is Brandy. She called her on the phone, and I couldn't hear the conversation. But based off the mother's actions, Brandy told her who I was and that I had no business being there. And the reason I gave her for being there was a lie. And it was a lie. The main reason I showed up to the house was just to see her again. That's all. I just wanted to see her again. I didn't mean no harm or nothing. I even told her mother that. So, to my knowledge, Brandy, significant other, is an officer in Zone 4, and word got back to him the very next day, and he was trying to search for me. He ended up finding me. Well, I found him because one of my classmates called me and was like, "Yo, somebody complaining on you." And I already knew what it was about. So I called Forward, who was looking for me. And I got him on the phone. And he was like, what happened? What happened? And by that time, I was scared out of my I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I'm like, is this guy going to beat me up? Is he going to put me in OPS? I had a ton of questions going through my head. So me and Officer Forward, we made an agreement to meet the very next day when I was on foot beat. So I was like, okay, I'll meet you the very next day around MLK I-285. He was like, okay, we'll do that. When I got on the phone to Officer Forward, I couldn't think straight. I couldn't even go to sleep. I was like, look, I got to get this off my chest tonight. So I called Officer Forward back and arranged to meet him after he got off work. He's evening watch. So I went to Zone 3. We met up at a gas station, Zone 3, and we talked in person. And Forward was like, man, what's up? Just tell me, tell me the deal. What happened? I've got my girl's side of the story. I want your side of the story. Like I said, I was still scared, so I wasn't truthful with Ford, you know. And he seen in me that I wasn't being truthful. So I pretty much came out. I said, man, you got it. Look, I did this, X, Y, Z. You know, I know I was wrong. And like I said, I don't mean any disrespect to you and your he told me it's his fiance. I said, I don't mean any disrespect to your fiance. Look, I'm sorry.
Talk to you 1 second.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to stop this. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So I met up with Officer Ford at the store, and he wanted to get my side of the story, even though he had his fiance side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So he kept asking me, you know, and I kept, you know, I was feeding him a bunch of bullshit. You know, I was trying to make it seem like I was the victim instead of she was. But the reason I did that because, like I said, I didn't know what his intentions was. I didn't know if he was gonna, you know, whoop my ass or whatever, you know. So I finally came out with it. You know, I told him, I'm like, you know, look, Officer Ford, I did this, I did that, you know. And look, man, like I said, I kept repeatedly apologizing to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him what I did, and he was like, dude, you know you was wrong. You know you can be fired for that, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, I know that. And like I said, I was young and dumb, and I wasn't thinking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take care of it, you know, and just learn from this, man. And I was like, yo, you got it, man. You bet your ass I will. And he was like, I was like, dude, if you want me to face your fiance and her mother and apologize to their faces, I will. I'll do it. I'll do anything it takes. And he was like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And from that point on, I think his girlfriend, she was saying that she didn't feel safe and stuff like that, and she might report it or whatnot. And he told her that he'll take care of it. He got it. And that was in October when it was early October when we had that meeting. And I didn't hear any more about it from October, November, December, January. Here it is now, February. And I mean, I've been trying to walk a tight line, stay out of trouble, and just learn from my mistakes. And like I said, I was basically stupid, and I used the MDT inappropriately.
Right. All right. Well, one thing, I mean, it's clear that you're being honest about stuff and coming clean.
Yes, sir.
And that's appreciated, and that's certainly noted. Couple just some quick questions here. When you say you approached her
Yes,
at
sir.
Lennox, did you make any physical contact
Oh, no,
with her?
I didn't touch her at all.
You didn't like touch her shoulder
No,
or anything
sir.
like that? Okay. And at what point did you identify yourself as a police officer?
In the conversation, I asked her, you know, I was like, what's up? You know, she was like, hey, how you doing? I was like, I'm not going to even try to be your man. That was my exact words. I said, I ain't trying to be your man or nothing. I just want to be your friend. She was like, I don't think that'll be possible. I was like, why not? She was like, because my boyfriend works for APD. I'm like, who is he? And she was like, I don't want to tell you his name because you might run into him.
Right.
So I was like, well, I also work for APD. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. She was like, let me see your badge. And I just happened to have it on me. And I was like, here it is. You know, and I showed it to her.
So you didn't identify yourself as a police
No,
officer
no,
in the beginning?
no,
that
sir.
happened in the middle?
It
or
happened in the middle
kind
of the
the middle of the conversation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now she told you she was taken.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Those were her exact
That's
words.
her exact words.
And she never identified who the officer was that
Exactly.
she was dating.
She just identified that he was an officer.
Okay. All right. You also said that you were, she kind of warded off your advances basically
Exactly.
fairly quickly, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you said you kind of attempted to prolong the conversation.
Yes, sir.
What did you mean by that when you said you were trying to prolong?
I was trying to, get a little info on. I was trying to figure out, what her name was, how old she was. I believe she told me she was like 28 or 29.
Okay.
I was just, it's basic questions.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to prolong a little bit, maybe, in hopes of gaining some type of friendship. But I was like, it's not working. So.
Okay, so in your mind at that point, did it seem like a good idea? Like if you kept talking to her, maybe she would change her mind, or were you trying to change her mind, or
well,
what?
I wasn't really trying to change her mind. I was just basically, once she told me she was taken, I was just in it for the conversation then.
Okay.
And once I see it was going nowhere, that's when I was like, oh, well, okay, you have a nice day. And she was like, well, nice to meet you. And I was like, nice to meet you also. And
Okay.
I walked my way.
All right. Now you recorded the tag number. Just write it down on a piece of paper or something.
I think I remembered it. I kept repeating it to myself.
Okay.
And
Do you know it now? Off the top
no.
of your head? Okay.
Mm.
All All right. What was your intentions when you wrote down the tag number?
My intentions, like I said, I wanted to see her again. I didn't care.
Right.
I just wanted to see her again. And I was like, oh my God.
So you're kind of pretty much saying she's so gorgeous that I don't care who she's dating or what she wants.
It's not the point that I don't care who she's dating.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when I showed up to that house, my intentions was to solely see her again. And I'm thinking I'm going to get the impression like, wow, how'd you find out where I stay? I'm thinking I'm going to get something like that. But it completely backfired.
Because some people might describe that as like stalking.
No, that wasn't my intention. I wasn't trying to stalk her or follow her around or anything like that.
Well, some people would say that she's told you she's not interested in it. I mean, in your own words, she said that there's no possibility of you two ever having some kind of relationship materialize.
That's correct.
But you still recorded the tag number to kind of continue things afterwards, despite what she said.
Yes, sir.
So she kind of gave you a clear indication that she's not interested in you romantically or as a friend, and you still recorded the tag number.
Yes, sir.
After she said that.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. You see what I'm getting at?
I see exactly what you're getting at.
I'm just kind of telling you how it looks kind of on paper when this stuff is done, and everything. I'm just trying to give you an opportunity to kind of clarify that or clear up just what was going through your mind then when you recorded the tag number. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and then how much time elapsed between the time you recorded the tag when you?
I recorded that tag. It was August, and I attempted to see her again in the month of October.
Okay.
Because I was back and forth on it. I was like, man,
Do you remember when you ran the tag?
It was my last rotation of field training.
Okay.
I was in zone 1, morning watch.
Okay.
And it was in the month of October.
Month of October. Okay.
Yes.
And you ran it on an MBT and a patrol car?
That's correct.
While you were on duty?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to go back to, do you remember where the house is?
The road, I don't remember the numbers, but I remember the road is Collier Road.
Collier Road.
Collier.
Okay, and you knocked on the door, and I mean, did you have this, you said you had a kind of story or pretext?
Yes, sir.
While you were going there?
I told the mother, like I said, it was a line of bull. I'm going to let you know that up front. I told the mother, I asked her, did she own a Grand Prix? She said, yeah, I own one. I say, I gave her a story about how somebody was how a guy was pacing it back and forth. He was looking to break into the car, but that such person never existed. And she was like, well, she started asking me questions. She became suspicious after talking with Brandy. She asked me, when'd you last see the car? And I told her. And she started asking other type of questions that I didn't have an answer to. Right. And that's whenever the conversation between her mother sort of ended, it was going nowhere, because I can tell by the look in her eye she was on to my BS. And when I see that she was on to me, I was like, man, I might as well just leave while, I've already dug myself a hole here.
Okay. And you were in uniform when that happened, correct?
I had just got off it was an extra job working traffic at the Georgia Dome.
Okay. All right, which you can do on probation, so that's
yes, sir.
Not really an issue. Okay. Now, you said that later on you went to go have a conversation with Officer Ford.
That's correct.
You said that you made up a story with him too, correct?
Right.
What was that story?
That story, I told Ford, I was like, she gave me her address. He was like, dude, that don't make sense. Why would a woman who's taken give you her address? Mm-hmm. And that's when I dropped my head. I just started thinking. And he was like, Lynch, I've been Motors, I've been Red Dog, I've been on this job quite a long time. Mm-hmm. And that's the look that perps do when you ask them questions. Mm-hmm. When you ask them a question and they drop their head, perps do that. And you're displaying those guilt-laden facts. When he told me that, that's when I came clean with him. I say, dude, this would happen, X, Y, Z, and I laid it out on the line to him. Like I said, I got tired of lying. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna tell the truth.
Okay. All right. You know that when you were employed here, you signed a GCIC
Yes, sir.
statement. Do you know what that statement entails?
It stated that you're not supposed to use the MDT to your. I can't quote it, but you're not supposed to use it inappropriately, and I believe there's a fine or jail time.
Yeah, it is actually a crime. Were you aware that it's actually a crime to do that?
No, I mean, like I said, no, I wasn't completely aware.
Okay. You weren't completely aware.
No, sir.
But you had an idea.
Yeah, I had an idea.
That it's.
That's true.
No.
That's correct, sir.
People on the MDT. Okay. All right, and you said that his girlfriend didn't feel safe.
Well, she told Officer Ford that, and she was like, "Well, I'm gonna go report it." And Officer Ford told me that she didn't, and he would take care of it. And from that point, I left it in his hands.
Okay. The other thing too is that there is a truthfulness issue here. You
Yes,
understand
sir.
that aspect of it, that
Yes, sir.
you showed up to the mom's house
Right.
wearing a police uniform,
Yes, sir.
reporting yourself to be an Atlanta police officer,
Yes, sir.
and made up a story that was in fact not true.
That's correct.
All right. Have you had any conversation with Officer Ford today or yesterday?
Today, the only thing I said to Officer Ford is, I said, I got to go down to OPS and make a statement. Do you know what this is about? He was like, well, I didn't say anything. When you go to, I was like, dude, I'm going to get fired for this, ain't I? He said, I can't answer that question. He said, but I will tell you this. When you go down there, just tell the truth, man. Just tell the truth. And I was like, all right, you got it.
Okay. Is there anything else you think that's relevant to this? I mean, you pretty much...
That's it in a nutshell, sir. I mean,
that's it?
Basically, the whole moral of the story is I was ignorant, I was stupid, I wasn't thinking when I made that decision. And I didn't think it was a big a deal at the time. However, it's completely different now. And I used that MDT inappropriately in a way it wasn't intended to be used.
Okay. That's about all. I think you pretty much have answered everything that I had. Has your statement been truthful today?
Oh, yes, sir, it is.
And you're aware that you may have to submit to a computer voice stress analyzer?
Yes, sir, I'll do it.